I am super excited about today's episode, and I'm just going to warn you right now, I get a little passionate about it.
Yes, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. Like I am sitting on my hand trying to contain myself. Like keep it together, Cassie. Just get through the title introduction, right? But what we are talking about today is the most important business growth strategy that no one is talking about, and it's right under your nose, literally and figuratively. So, do we want to go ahead and reveal about it, or do we need to dance a little bit in anticipation, Rhonda?
Well, we could dance, and this is going to put me on my soapbox here because I get a little frustrated. And there are people that I have looked up to in the industry for like so long, and I've implemented some of the things that they've done. But sometimes, man, I just want to call that baby ugly. And I want us to go back. Oh, I want us to go back to like old school. It's old school. And it go ahead and date me, advanced maternal age. I don't care. Tried and true. This works. Hey there, it's Rhonda Melogy. If you like what you're seeing, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you know when I publish a new video, probably any minute now. It works like I don't know, as moms, can we say it like it works 100% of the time because like we have kids that can scale to the top shelf to get the cookie? Like, go ahead, spill the beans, Cassie, because I'm like tripping all over myself. I,
Yes,
I
no, no,
get kind of
no. Like
frustrated.
it's when you ask that question, I am very attentive to language and very intentional about the words that I use. Like I very rarely say always, never, and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But like when it comes down to it, human business owners doing business with human clients and customers, collaborators, it all comes down to connecting at that human level and the language of conversation and finding that common ground. So like I do feel very comfortable and confident using like this always works. If it doesn't work, check your energy and your intention on how you're showing up to communicate and connect in the conversation, is the only kind of like caveat I will add there. Because when you show up with the intention to have a conversation on a human level and take interest, truly take interest into another human being, connection happens. And this, what Rhonda's saying, I think I have so much passion in this is because I grew up in an entrepreneur household. I grew up where conversations put dinner on the table. I grew up helping answer phones at like 9 years old with desks in the foyer of our house when we first walked in of my mom's growing, budding business. Every client that came to her or every contract that she sold was a result of a relationship and a conversation that she had with an individual that connected us to the commitment of results. But it was always human to human connecting conversations. Think about when you go to a brick and mortar store and they greet you by name. How does that feel? When we can bring this aspect into the online business world, you're untouchable. This is your unfair advantage.
Yeah.
And very few businesses will actually intentionally incorporate it and take advantage of it in their own business.
And I guess, okay, so some examples. I know that I got a little tongue tied and a little frustrated with it because I think that some of the strategies that you might be using are either number one, frustrating you or discouraging you and making you question that the thing that you have to offer the world is either not working, not good enough, and you're not getting the results that you really intended, right? By buying the course, right? several examples that I can give is that I've had a lot of one-on-one clients that have purchased different courses, and they come to me and they're like, I'm just really frustrated because my membership is not doing XYZ, and I've implemented this thing to the T. And they believed in the thing, and there's nothing wrong with the thing, but that particular strategy wouldn't necessarily work for them. So what we did is we focused on what was already working. And 9 times out of 10, I call it Rolodex, that they have built, whether it is offline, online, for X number of years. That's your business. Those are conversations with people and your network. And it's anywhere from a membership to someone launching a course. Like, this isn't working. I don't understand. I've done this thing so many times. It's not a one size fits all. It's not cookie cutter. Friends, your business success really, and I know it feels uncomfortable, it relies on you. It relies on that conversation, and it relies on that network. Well, Rhonda, I don't have a network. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have a successful business. Yes, you have a network. There are people that you can talk to and start to have the conversation. Maybe it doesn't end in a first sale, but they walk away. They know what you do. And
Yes.
guess what? They can connect people to you.
I was so glad that you stepped into that, because I'm like, guess what's going to solve the problem of you not having a network? Conversations, right? Conversations. And so I want to get into the weeds of this subject a little bit, like, because the question that, let's play devil's advocate here. Well, what kind of conversations, right? Like, am I just walking in and whoever's standing in front of me, I'm trying to pitch and I'm trying to sell and I'm trying to, make an impression so that they never forget me? No. I want you to focus on one thing: listening, on how you can serve them.
So Kaci Brown does this really well. So she has scheduled calls with people both virtually as well as in person. And so Rhonda is like, okay, Kaci knows these people. And I show up to the call, and there is this sense of like, we all know each other, right? We're in this room together and we all know each other. And she's never met them before. Or we have an event and invites these people to the event. I think she knows these people. Never met them live before. And so the intention in going into the call, and we've had calls where we go into the call, there was I think she even said it, this is not a sales call. This is us connecting. You're launching a membership, and how can we support you? Literally. And so I think that, and then I showed him the back end, and he was like, all right, how much would it take to do that? It wasn't that I want to come in and take the money and you are this month's budget, you are this month's revenue that's coming in. So that a relationship now is established over and over and over and over again. And it's those connection calls. Jen Dice, she was a member of my community. And one of the things that she initially did not like getting on video. And she had a really hard time doing video. Friends, she does video now all the time. But part of getting over that was doing connection calls, coffee chats, whatever you want to call them. And what she started to understand from her customer is that she was several steps ahead of them. And so she could now walk backwards and help them get to the point where she could serve them. But she never would have known that. And she would have thought her offer was not the right offer. The thing that she was doing was incorrect if she had not had those conversations with perfect strangers.
Okay. All right. So now another layer deeper into the weeds here. So what kind of connection calls? Like, the thing about it is, it doesn't have to fit into a box, right? Remember, we're listening, and Rhonda said a really magic word there: discover what they're struggling with. Discover what you say that describes what you do that lands with them. Discover how they ask questions about the way that you explain it different ways. Discover how their body language changes or their tone of voice changes, right? So some of the things that we encourage our members to do, especially if it's a new offer, get on the phone,
Mhm.
explain it, or ask someone to get on the phone with you who's having the problem that your offer solves,
Mhm.
and just listen for the way that they describe it. And then ask them, do you mind if I run something by you that I'm working on?
Mhm.
Test your language. Find the patterns that land and that don't. This is a play on another episode that we did about implementation. Implementation and evaluation. Conversations is implementation, gathering the data, evaluation, and elimination. Oh, I said that, and they looked confused as all get out. I don't need to explain it that way anymore,
Mhm.
right? If you have conversations with people who know you and love you, and they're not afraid of the hard truths or calling your baby ugly, they can legitimately say, I know you and I know your zone of genius and I know what you offer. But when you explain this, this is what I'm hearing. And it's not even close to what I perceive to know as your value. And that is valuable information. So when you have conversations, these conversations create clarity of messaging, clarity of offer, clarity of opportunity, but it also creates the connection, human to human. And that person falls in one of three categories, right? Their connection, they know you legitimately care about what you do and the problem that you solve. Okay. If they're in pain and you solve that problem, they could be a client. They could also, in their same network or even clients of their own, your offer or proposed solution actually solves something that they do not, and they are a collaborator. Conversations opens doors and opportunities that you don't even know are a possibility at this moment in time. I cannot stress that enough. You do not know what doors of opportunity one conversation will open 5 months or 5 years into the future. So do not discount it, and do not only look at the immediate ROI of a closed sale or client or customer, because the information and the gathering and the clarity that you get back is immeasurable in the amount of value that it's going to create for you and your future clients.
So while you were saying that, I was taking notes. I was sitting on my hands very patiently, because what I wanted you to finish, what you did, is what Cassie just shared with you is the difference in you being busy in your business and keeping everything between your ears and thinking about it over and over again in an endless loop, versus speed to implementation and progress, which is actually having a conversation. You can do that two ways. One, scheduling calls one-on-one with people. And I know that feels like hard, but we can do hard things. We can all do hard things. Two, you can also practice this through your social media platforms and saying it over and over and over. Brandon, oh my gosh, amazing example. This guy is an amazing engineer. And what he has done, he's developed a system for engineers, right? To really appreciate themselves, right? A personal development for themselves. And so every step of the way, with his busy, crazy schedule, like the one thing that we said is just post on social. You're like, just post on social. This man's schedule was insane. So instead of just thinking about it every single day, he created 4 videos. And now, so that was the first step. And then now people are responding. Oh goodness, now what do I do? Well, now we bring them into, we have a connection call to see if we are a right fit. And now we make them an offer to see if we can serve them. but he could have stayed in thinking mode while he's commuting via an airplane to his job from where he lives to his job every week. He could have stayed in thinking mode. Instead, he was in active. He was active, like actively finding his messaging, actively finding his people, right? Tracy, she was another one. And if you do a hot mama sprint with us, one of the things that we do within this first 30 days, we're not like, even if it's like it's an offer that you know works, or even if it's a new offer that you're thinking about launching, either way, part of that process in the first 30 days are making connection calls. We don't build in a cave to then like come out 90 days from now and launch into the world. No, we are having connection calls all along the way, because friends, you could be making sales with a Google Doc. You can do that, right? And Tracy was in this process and she was going through it and she was like, I did a call, I've got a call scheduled. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Can you do another? I did another call. And I was like, that's fantastic. Can we just push one? When you get into a flow, like don't stop, celebrate it, but don't stop. And pushing herself into really scheduling connection calls. And you should always, if we don't need to be reactive, we need to be proactive. If we're proactive and we're always scheduling calls, then we're never going to be like, we feel busy, but then our business is never going to feel dry. Right. And so, and guess what happens? Guess what happens when you have conversations and you make connections? You make sales. You make sales. This is not a trending strategy. This is, did we say anything about an ads budget? Did we say anything about launching a funnel? Did we say anything about a brand new website? Did we say anything about, I just all of these strategies? Cassie, help me.
Well, as you're going through this list, what's popping up for me is actually a trending strategy of like close X, Y, and Z without sales calls. And, that has its place, right?
Yeah.
In certain business models and certain maturity levels of a business, right? Mm-hmm. Where your results and your demand exceed, right? Where you can speak the language, like it's legitimately like you are speaking code to your dream clients. At that point, we can look at different strategies, but certain growth spots in your business, I would actually pay someone to get on the call for the valuable information that I extract from it, because I'm going to go create something amazing from it. And I'm going to save myself weeks, months, probably years sitting in my own thought process. Like, will someone buy that? Do they need that? Like, is that good enough? Da-da-da. Like one conversation can solve all of that in 15 minutes. I'll take 15 minutes over 6 months, every day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't, for most people who I know just want to make so much impact, and the byproduct is revenue in their business, and they've tried lots of different strategies and they just feel like what they have to offer is not good enough. This is not working. And what ends up happening is that when they do start to try to work with someone, they're afraid of that. And ultimately, when you work with Cassie and I, we look at specifically what is already working. We don't put a shiny new on it. We almost hold your feet to the fire. It's a boring plan, and you should want boring, because up to this point, you may have experienced anxiety, stress, overwhelm. You don't feel like you're good enough. You've compared yourself to people who've been in the business 10 years and have multi-million-dollar businesses that, I mean, I don't know. I'm happy with my 3-day work week, with my tiny team, with my amazing partner, with the creative space that I have. And it all starts with conversation. I know when we start having conversation, we'll make connections, or we will attract a dream client.
It's a never wasted conversation. Yeah. I think that's that's if I was to say, the one golden takeaway, right? I know we opened up with like, listen, these videos, we've got to have some major hooks, right? When it comes to opening up the conversation, so like, what is this super secret strategy that's right under your nose that no one's talking about? And it's honestly the opposite. Like the industry is trying to get away from conversations, from personal connection, from the humanness, because it's not optimized automation, but it will move your business forward by leaps and bounds and light years ahead of your competition, who is spending all of their time and their energy trying to figure out how not to talk to people, right? So if you could take one thing away, is like just the value of conversation and the commitment to conversation and the quality of the connections that you're going to get. Like, you want to grow your business, grow your network. How do you do that? Conversations. You want to grow your business, grow your client referrals. How do you do that? Conversations. You want to grow your business, grow your lifetime value of referring customers. How do you do that? Conversations. How can I serve you better? What's the next big problem that you have? Is there a gap in our product or our service? Like, I want that feedback data. Give me the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just tell me this is great, Cassie, thank you so much, and never talk to me again. I want to know if there's a problem. So like, I know, like I'm expanding the scope of this, but getting into the habit of having conversations and like just craving that feedback and that confirmation of like, okay. And it also goes into the filter of like, how can this be simpler? How can this be simpler for you as my customer? You want to grow your business, improve your customer journey, improve their experience and consistent results of success. Conversation every time.
And I will say, I just want to add a little caveat to this, because I've seen this recently. And if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go into the community and I'm going to ask what they think about this, I'm going to challenge you a little bit and push you a little bit out of that. And I've seen this several times. I've even seen people to give feedback and they've offered like gift cards for the feedback. And I cringe at that a little bit, because I'm like, is that your true dream customer? Right? Going into a community saying, give me feedback on this. Like, what experience do these people bring to the table? What are they even your ideal customer? So I'm going to challenge you, even though you may be an introvert. I am an introvert. I know we're having a conversation here, but in the room, you're going to see Cassie before you see me. I'm going to be at the back of the room. Cassie wants to be on stage and I'm like, oh, do I really need to do that? I don't need to do that. Right. But when you get me in my zone and you start talking to me and I start hearing what that problem is that you're having, I can very quickly, with a new perspective, come in and say, okay, this is what you need. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, like, being an introvert, being uncomfortable, I'm showing up differently. It's a heart of service. It's like, let me take this pain away from you, because this really comes simple to me and I eat this for breakfast. And that, like, the whole demeanor of the people that we talk to changes. Like, they're okay, tell me what to do next. And so I really don't take the shortcut. I want it to be a little bit uncomfortable, because the discomfort that you feel initially will turn into just like, it will be your zone. And I could tell a little story here. Let me just tell a little story here, right? So talking about being an introvert, and I know this is a little bit off in terms of like having conversations, but Daniel, my husband, is a pilot. And one of the things as pilots need to do is they need to talk to air traffic control. And early in the process, he was not comfortable at all. Didn't understand what they were saying. They were talking really fast. He was afraid to make a mistake. And I could not see that one fear stopping him from pursuing his dream of being a pilot. Jump ahead 20 years later, 8,000 hours, and he can crush ATC. But it's the practice, it's the initial discomfort. It's coming to terms with that and getting past it. Don't let this one little thing both stand in your way and let you hide in a course that's going to keep you in consumption. Like, if anything, Cassie and I have learned this year is pushing our people as gently as we can into action and activity. That is the biggest result you're going to find and progress in your business.
All right. So the challenge is have a conversation, right? And not with someone that it feels easy, right? Push yourself outside your comfort zone. We just got off a call, and one of my favorite parts is, as a coach, is seeing the resistance, but they lean into it, right? And you do that enough in practice, you learn to live on the fringes of your comfort zone, and you learn to actually continually have that realization, this is too comfortable, right? I'm playing it too safe. And when we have big vision and big impact and things to do in life, that needs to be an awareness that we create. So if conversations is one of those for you, I cannot encourage you fast enough to leap into the fringes of that uncomfort zone for you, to make it be not so wide of a gap anymore, right? Like, the only way to master something is to do it every day. And there is not one mastery. There's not one master in history that didn't start out kind of a little bit wobbly, maybe a little bit shaky, maybe not so confident in what they're doing, but putting in the reps creates the confidence.
Mm-hmm. And it helps you with the data. I mean, the data, and then the data doesn't lie. Then you can make a confident decision.
Exactly.
So if you would like us to tell you what to do, all you've got to do is to go to freedomtoimpact.com, the amazing website by Melina herself. It's insane.
So
it just go just to see the site. It makes me cry. Like, every thoughtful detail, the textures, and I'm not that person, but I see it. See her just like splendid design. So you go to freedomtoimpact.com, take the quiz, tell me what to do, and the hot mamas will share with you exactly what to do.
That's right. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks for spending some time with us today. Click the link. It's the first link. We make it super simple for any of the tools and resources that we talked about in today's video, helping you make it easy for your freedom to impact.